Hello everyone, welcome to the part 2 of the audiobook of the Giraffe and the Pelly and Me, written by Roald Dahl. Let's get started. It wasn't long before we came to the gates of Hampshire House, and as the giraffe moved slowly up the great wide driveway, we all began to feel just a little bit nervous. "What's he like, this Duke?" the giraffe asked me. "I don't know," I said, "but he's very famous and very rich. People say he has 25 gardeners just to look after his flower beds." Soon the huge house itself came into the view. And what a house it was! It was like a palace. It was bigger than a palace.
"Just look at those windows!" cried the monkey. "They keep us going forever."
Then suddenly we heard a man's voice a short distance away to the right.
I want those big black ones at the top of the tree," the man shouted. "Get me those great big ones."
We peered round the bushes and saw an oldish man with an immense white moustache standing under a tall cherry tree and pointing his walking stick in the air. There was a ladder against the tree, and another man who was probably a gardener was up the ladder.
Get me those great big black juicy ones right at the very top,"
the old man was shouting.
"I can't reach them, Your Grace,"
the gardener called back.
"The ladder isn't long enough."
"Damnation!" shouted the Duke. "I was so looking forward to eating those big ones."
"Here we go," the pelican whispered to me, and with a swish and a swoop, he carried me up to the very top of the cherry tree, and there he perched.
Pick them, Billy,"
he whispered.
"Pick them,
"Quickly, and put them in my beak." The gardener got such a shock he fell off the ladder down below us. The Duke was shouting,
"My gun! Get me my gun!
Some damnable monster of a bird is stealing my best cherries. Be off with you, sir. Go away.
Those are my cherries, not yours. I'll have you shoot for this, sir. Where is my gun?"
"Hurry, Billy," whispered the pelican. "Hurry, hurry."
"My gun!"
the Duke was shouting to the gardener.
"Get me my gun, you idiot! I'll have that thieving bird for breakfast. You see if I don't."
"I've picked them all," I whispered to the pelican. At once, the pelly flew down and landed right beside the furious figure of the Duke of Hampshire, who was prancing about and waving his stick in the air.
"Your cherries, Your Grace," I said as I leaned over the edge of the pelican's beak and offered a handful to the Duke.
The Duke was staggered. He reeled back and his eyes popped nearly out of their sockets.
"Great Scott!"
he gasped.
"Good Lord! What's this? Who are you?"
And now the giraffe with the monkey dancing about on her back emerged suddenly from the bushes. The Duke stared at them. He looked as though he was about to have a fit.
"Who are these creatures?" he bellowed. "Has the whole world gone completely dirty?"
"We are the window cleaners," sang out the monkey. "We will polish your doors, it'll shine like the brass, and it sparkles like the sun on the sea. We will work for your grace till we're blue in face, the giraffe and the Pelly and Me."
"You asked us to come and see you," the giraffe said. The truth was at last beginning to dawn on the Duke. He put a cherry into his mouth and chewed it slowly. Then he spat out the stone.
"I like the way you picked the cherries for me," he said. "Could you also pick my apples in the autumn?"
We won! We won! Of course we got!
We all shouted.
And who are you?
The Duke said, pointing his stick at me.
He's our business manager,
The Giraffe said.
his name is Billy. We go nowhere without him.
Very well, the Duke muttered. Come on along with me, and let's see if you're any good at the cleaning window.
I climbed out of the pelican's beak, and the kindly old Duke took me by the hand as we all walked towards the house. When we got there, the Duke said,
What happens next?
It'll all be very simple, Your Grace, the Giraffe replied. I am the ladder, the Pelly is the bucket, and the monkey is the cleaner. Watch us go. With that, the famous window cleaning gang sprang into action. The monkey jumped down from the giraffe's back and turned to the garden tap. The pelican held his great beak under the tap until it was full of water. Then, with a wonderful springy leap, the monkey leaped up once again onto the giraffe's back, from where he scrambled as easily as if he were climbing a tree up the long neck of Giraffe until he stood balancing on the very top of her head. The pelican remained standing on the ground beside us, looking up at the Giraffe. We're all to the top floor first, the Giraffe shouted down. Bring the water up, please.
Don't worry about the 2 top floors. You can't reach them anyway, the Duke called out.
Who says we can't reach them? The Giraffe called back.
I do, the Duke said firmly, and I'm not having any of you risking your silly necks around here.
If you wish to be friends with a giraffe, never say anything bad about his neck. Its neck is its proudest possession. What's wrong with my neck? Snapped the Giraffe.
Don't argue with me, you foolish creature, cried the Duke. If you can't reach it, you can't reach it, and that's the end of it. Now get on with your work.
Your Grace, the Giraffe said, giving the Duke a small, superior smile. There are no windows in the world I cannot reach with this magical neck of mine. The monkey, who was dancing about most dangerously on the top of Giraffe's head, cried out,
Show him, Giraffe, show him. Go on and show him what you can do with your magical neck.
The next moment, the giraffe's neck, which heaven knows was long enough already, began to grow longer and longer and longer, and higher and higher and higher, until at last the giraffe's head with the monkey on the top of it was level with the windows of the top floor. The giraffe looked down from her great height and said to the Duke, How's that? The Duke was speechless. So was I. It was the most magical thing I had ever seen. More magical even than the pelican's patented beak. Up above us, the giraffe was beginning to sing a little song, but she sang so softly I could hardly catch the words. I think it went something like this. My neck can stretch terribly high, much higher than the eagles can fly. If I ventured to show just how high it would go, you'd lose sight of my neck in the sky. The pelican, with his huge beak full of water, flew up and perched on one of the top floor windowsills near the monkey. And now the great window cleaning business really began. The speed with which the team worked was astonishing. As soon as one window was done, the giraffe moved the monkey over to the next one and the pelican followed. When all the four floor windows on that side of the house was finished, the giraffe simply drew in her magical neck until the monkey was level with the third floor windows, and off they went.
Amazing,
cried the Duke.
astonishing, remarkable, incredible. I haven't seen any of my windows for 40 years. Now I shall be able to sit indoors and enjoy the view.
Suddenly, I saw all 3 of the window cleaners stop dead on their tracks. They seemed to freeze against the wall of the house. None of them moved.
What's happened to them? The Duke asked me. What's gone wrong?
I don't know, I answered. Then the giraffe with the monkey on her head tiptoed very gingerly away from the house and came towards us. The pelican flew with them. The giraffe came up very close to the Duke and whispered, "Your Grace, there is a man in one of the bedrooms on the third floor. He's opening all the drawers and taking things out. He's got a pistol." The Duke jumped about a foot in the air.
"Which room?"
He snapped.
"Show me at once."
"It's the one on the third floor where the window is wide open," the giraffe whispered.
"By gad!" cried the Duke. "That's the Duchess' bedroom. He's after her jewels. Call the police. Summon the army. Bring up the cannon. Charge with the light brigade."
But even as he spoke, the pelican was flying up into the air. As he flew, he turned himself upside down and tipped the window cleaning water out of his beak. When I saw the top half of that marvelous patented beak sliding out of his head, ready for action,
"What's that crazy bird up to?"
Wait and see,
shouted the monkey.
hold your breath, old man, hold your nose, hold your horses, and watch the pelly go.
Like a bullet, the pelican flew in through the open window, and 5 seconds later, out he came again with his great orange beak firmly closed. He landed on the lawn beside the Duke. A tremendous banging noise was coming from inside the pelican's beak. It sounded as though someone was using a sledgehammer against it from the inside.
He's got him,
cried the monkey.
Pelly's got the burglar in his beak.
"Well done, sir,"
shouted the Duke, hopping about with excitement. Suddenly, he pulled the handle of his walking stick towards, and out of the hollow inside of the stick itself, he drew a long, thin, sharp, lining sword.
"I'll run him through,"
he shouted, flourishing the sword like a fencer.
"Open up, pelican. Let me get at him. I'll run the bounder through before he knows what's happened to him. I'll spike him like a pat of butter. I'll feed his gizzard into my foxhound."
But the pelican did not open his beak. He kept it firmly closed and shook his head at the Duke. The giraffe shouted, "The burglar is armed with a pistol, Your Grace. If Pelly lets him out, now he'll shoot us all."
"He can be armed with a machine gun for all I care,"
bellowed the Duke, his massive mustaches bristling like brushwood.
I'll handle the brighter. Open up.
Suddenly, there was an ear-splitting bang, and the pelican leaped 20 feet into the air. So did the Duke. "Watch out!" the Duke shouted, taking 10 rapid paces backwards. "He's trying to shoot his way out," and pointing his sword at Pelican, he bellowed,
"Keep that beak closed, sir. Don't you dare let him out. He'll murder us all."
"Shake him up, Pelly," cried the giraffe. "Rattle his bones, teach him not to do it again." The pelican shook his head so fast from side to side that the beak became a blur, and the man inside must have felt he was being scrambled like eggs. "Well done, Pelly," cried the giraffe. "You are doing a great job. Keep on shaking him so he doesn't fire that pistol again." At this point, a lady with an enormous chest and flaming orange hair came flying out of the house, screaming,
"My jewels! Somebody stole my jewels! My diamond tiara! My diamond necklace! My diamond bracelets! My diamond earrings! My diamond rings! They've had that lot! My rooms have been ransacked!"
And then this massive female, who 55 years ago had been a world-famous opera singer, suddenly burst into song.
"My diamonds are over the ocean! My diamonds are over the sea! My diamonds were pinched from my bedroom! Oh, bring back my diamonds to me!"
We were so bowled over by the power of Lady's lungs that all of us, excepting The pelican, who had to keep his beak closed, joined in chorus.
Bring back, oh bring back my diamonds to me. Bring back, oh bring back my diamonds to me.
Calm yourself, Henrietta,
said the Duke. He pointed to the pelican and said,
This clever bird, this brilliant burglar-catching creature has saved the day. The bounders in his beak.
The Duchess stared at the pelican. The pelican stared back at the Duchess and gave her a wink.
If he's in there, cried Duchess, why don't you let him out? Then you can run him through with that famous sword of yours. I want my diamonds. Open your beak, bird.
No,
Shouted the Duke.
He's got a pistol. He'll murder us all.
Someone must have called the police because suddenly no less than 4 squared cars came racing towards us with their sirens screaming. Within seconds, we were surrounded by 6 policemen and the Duke was shouting to them.
The villain you're after is inside the beak of this bird. Stand by to collar him.
And to the pelican, he said,
Get ready to open up. Are you ready? Steady. Go! Open her up.
The pelican opened his gigantic beak and immediately the policemen pounced up the burglar who was crouching inside. They snatched his pistol away from him and dragged him out and put handcuffs on his wrist.
Great Scott!
Shouted the chief of police.
It's a cobra himself.
The cobra is the cleverest and most dangerous cat burglar in the world, said the chief of police. He must have climbed up the drain pipe. The cobra can climb up anything.
My diamonds!
Screamed the Duchess.
I want my diamonds! Where are my diamonds?
Here they are, cried the chief of police, fishing a great handful of jewelry from the burglar's pocket. The Duchess was so overcome with relief that she fell to the ground in a faint. When the police had taken away the fearsome burglar known as the Cobra and the fainting Duchess had been carried into the house by her servants, the old Duke stood on the lawn with the giraffe, the pelican and the monkey and me.
Look!
Cried the monkey.
That rotten burglar's bullet has made a hole in poor Pig's Pelly's beak.
That's done it, said the pelican. Now it won't be any use for holding water when we can clean the windows.
Don't you worry about that, my dear Pelly, said the Duke, patting him on the beak. My chauffeur will soon put a patch over it, in the same way he mends the tires on the roads. Right now, we have far more important things to talk about than a little hole in a brake.
We stood there waiting to see what the Duke was going to say next.
Now, listen to me, all of you. Those diamonds were worth millions. Millions and millions, and you have saved them.
The monkey nodded. The giraffe smiled, and the pelican blushed.
No reward is too great for you, the Duke went on. I am therefore going to make you an offer which I hope will give you pleasure. I hereby invite the giraffe, the pelican, and the monkey to live on my estate for the rest of their lives. I shall give you my best and the largest hay barn as your private house. Central heating, showers and kitchens and anything else you desire for your comfort will be installed.
Okay.
In return, you will keep my windows clean and pick my cherries and my apples. If the pelican is willing, perhaps he will also give me a ride in his beak now and then.
A pleasure, Your Highness, cried the pelican. Would you like right now?
Later, said the Duke. I'll have one after tea.
At this point, the giraffe gave a nervous little cough and looked up at the sky.
Is there a problem? Asked the Duke. If there is, do please let me hear it.
I don't like to sound ungrateful or pushy, murmured the Giraffe, but we do have one pressing problem. We are absolutely famished. We haven't eaten for days.
My dear Giraffe, cried the Duke, how very thoughtless of me. Food is no problem here.
I'm afraid it is not quite as easy as that, said the Giraffe. You see, I myself happen to be...
Don't tell me, cried the Duke. Duke, I know it already. I am an expert on animals of Africa. The moment I saw you, I knew you were no ordinary giraffe. You are one of the Garenius variety, are you not?
You are absolutely right, Your Grace, said the Giraffe. But the trouble with us is that we only eat...
You don't have to tell me that either, cried the Duke. I know perfectly well a Garenius giraffe can eat only one kind of food. Am I not right in thinking that the pink and purple flowers of the Tinkle Tinkle tree are your only diet?
Yes, sighed the Giraffe, and that's been my problem ever since I arrived on these shores.
That's no problem at all here at Hampshire House, said the Duke. Look over there, my dear Giraffe, and you'll see the only plantation of Tinkle Tinkle tree in the entire country.
The Giraffe looked. She gave a gasp of astonishment, and at first she was so overwhelmed that she couldn't even speak. Great tears of joy began running down her cheek.
Help yourself, said the Duke. Eat all you want.
Oh, my Satan souls, gasped the Giraffe. Oh, my naked neck, I cannot believe what I've seen. The next moment she was galloping full speed across the lawns and whining with excitement. And the last we saw of her was she burying her head in beautiful pink and purple flowers that blossomed on the tops of the tree all around her.
As for the monkey, he went on, I think he also will be pleased with what I have to offer. All over my estate there are thousands of giant nut trees.
Nuts!
Cried the monkey.
What kind of nuts?
Walnuts, of course.
Walnuts!
Screamed the monkey.
Not walnuts! You don't really mean walnuts! You're pulling my leg, you're joking, you can't be serious! I must have heard wrong!
There's a walnut tree right over there,
the Duke said, pointing.
The monkey
Took off like an arrow, and a few seconds later he was high up in the branches of the walnut tree, cracking the nuts and guzzling what was inside.
That leaves only the pelly, said the Duke.
Yes, said the pelican nervously, but I'm afraid that what I eat does not grow on trees. I only eat fish. Would it be too much trouble, I wonder, if I were to ask you for a reasonable fresh piece of haddock or cod every day?
Haddock or cod, shouted the Duke, spitting out the words as though they made a bad taste to his mouth. Cast your eye, my dear Pelly, over there to the south. The pelican looked across the vast rolling estate. In the distance he saw a great river. This is the river Hamp, cried the Duke, the finest salmon river in the whole of Europe.
Salmon! Screeched the pelican.
Not salmon. You don't really mean salmon. It's full of salmon, the Duke said, and I own it. You can help yourself. Before he had finished speaking, the pelican was in air. The Duke and I watched him as he flew full speed toward the river. We saw him circle over the water, then he dived in and disappeared. A few moments later, he was in air again and had a gigantic salmon in his beak. I stood alone with the Duke on the lawn beside his great house. Well, Billy, he said, I'm glad they are all happy. But what about you, my lad? I'm wondering if you happen to have just one extra special little wish all for yourself. If you do, I'd love you to tell me about it.
There was a sudden tingling in my toes. It felt as though something tremendous might be going to happen to me at any moment.
Yes, I murmured nervously. I do have one extra special little wish.
And what that might be, said the Duke in a kindly voice.
There's an old wooden house near where I live, I said. It's called the Grubber, and long ago it used to be a sweet shop. I wished and wished that one day somebody might come along and make it into a marvelous new sweet shop all over again.
Somebody? Cried Duke. What do you mean, somebody? You and I will do that. We'll do it together. We'll make it into the most wonderful sweet shop in the world. And you, my boy, you will own it.
Whenever the old Duke got excited, his enormous mustaches started out to bristle and jump up. Right now, they were jumping up and down so much it looked as though he had a squirrel in his face.
By God, sir, he cried, waving his stick, I shall buy the place today. Then we'll get to work and have the whole thing ready in no time. You just wait and see what sort of a sweet shop we're going to make out of the Grubber's place of yours.
It was amazing how quickly things began to happen after that. There was no problem about buying the house because it was owned by the Giraffe, the Pelly and the Monkey, and they insisted upon giving it to the Duke for nothing. Then the builders and the carpenters moved in and rebuilt the whole of the inside so that once again it had 3 floors. On all these floors, they put together rows and rows of tall shelves, and there were ladders to climb up to the highest shelf and baskets to carry what you bought. Then the sweets and the chalks and the toffees and the fudges and the nuggets began pouring in to fill the shelves. They came by airplane from every country in the world, the most wild and the wondrous things you could ever imagine. There were gum twizzlers and fizzwinkles from China, froth bowlers and spitzellers from Africa, tummy ticklers and cobwanglers from Fiji Islands, and lip lickers and plush nuggets from the land of midnight sun. For 2 whole weeks, the flood of boxes and sacks continued to arrive. I could no longer keep track of the countries they came from. But you can bet your life that as I unpacked each new box, I sampled it carefully. I remember especially the giant Bang Doodle from Australia. Everyone with a huge ripe red strawberry hidden inside its crispy chocolate crust, and the electric fizz cockler that made every hair in your head stand straight up on end as soon as you popped into your mouth. And there were niche nobblers and gum gottlers and blue bubblers and sherbet sulplers and tongue rattlers. As well as all this, there was a whole lot of splendid stuff from the great Wonka factory itself. For example, the famous Willy Wonka rainbow drops. Suck them and you can spit in 7 different colors. And this stick jaw for the talkative parents and his mint jujubas that will give the boy next door green teeth for a month. On the grand opening day, I decided to allow all my customers to help themselves for free, and the place was so crowded with children you could hardly move. The television cameras and the newspaper reporters were all over there. And the old Duke himself stood outside in the road with my friends Giraffe, the Pelly and Monkey, watching the marvelous scene. I came out of the shop to join them for a few moments and brought each of them a bag of extra special sweets as presents. To the Duke, because the weather was little chilly, I gave him some scarlet scotch droppers that had been sent to me from Ireland. The label said that they were guaranteed to make person who sucked them as warm as toast, even if he were standing stark naked at North Pole in midwinter. The moment the Duke popped one into his mouth, thick smoke came gushing out of the old man's nostrils in such quantities that I thought his moustache was going up in flames. Terrific! He cried, hopping about. Tremendous stuff! I'll take a case of them home with me. To the Giraffe I gave a bag of glumpiest clobbers. The clobbers is an especially delicious sweet that is made somewhere near the Mecca, and the moment you bite into it, all the perfumed juices of Arabia go squinting down your gut one after the other. It's wonderful, cried the giraffe as a cascade of lovely liquid flavors poured all the way down her long throat. It's even better than my favorite pink and purple flowers. To the pelican, I gave a big bag of pishlets. Pishlets, as you probably know, are bought by children who are unable to whistle a tune as they walk along the street but long to do so. They had a splendid effect upon the pelican, for after he had put one of them into his beak and chewed it for a while, he suddenly started singing like a nightingale. This made him wildly excited, because pelicans are not songbirds. No pelican had ever been known to whistle a tune before. To the monkey, I gave a bag of devil's drenchers, those small fiery black sweets that one is not allowed to sell to children under 4 years old. When you have sucked a devil's drencher for a minute or so, you can set your breath alight and blow a huge column of fire 20 feet into the air. The Duke put a match into Monkey's breath and shouted,
"Blow, monkey, blow!"
A sheet of orange flame shot up as high as the roof of the grubber's house, and it was wonderful. "I've got to leave you now," I said. "I must go and look after my customers in the shop." "We must go too," said the giraffe. "We have 100 windows to clean before dark." I said goodbye to the Duke, and then one by one I said goodbye to my 3 best friends I had ever had. Suddenly we all became very quiet and melancholy, and the monkey looked as though he was about to cry as he sang me a little song of farewell.
We have tears in our eyes as we wave our goodbyes. We so love being with you, we priests, so do please now then come and see us again, the giraffe, the Pelly and me. All you do is look at a page in this book, because that's where we always will be. No books ever end when it's full of your friends, the giraffe, the Pelly and me.